Is organ donation when you die a sin? Hi, welcome to today's little lesson. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Today's question comes from one of our beloved viewers who's concerned about the appropriateness of becoming an organ donor. Now, you know, if you've ever had your driver's license renewed, they often ask you that question, are you willing to be an organ donor? And you have to check a box and it becomes part of your record on your license. Or maybe when you're getting prepped for surgery at a hospital, they might ask you that question, just in case the surgery doesn't go the way we hope. You know, are you willing to be an organ donor? And you have to tell them yes or no. So it's something that we face, and it is amazing, just amazing, that in this day and age, medical science has gotten to that place where they can take an organ out of one person's body and put it into another person's body and save that person's life or extend that person's life or improve their life. So it's an amazing thing. But it's a personal decision for everybody. Now, the question, though, is it a sin? And first of all, you know, it's not a sin to save somebody's life or to improve somebody's life. And that's what organ donation actually does, right? So if you're dead, you don't need any of your organs anymore. And so if someone else can benefit by them, if they can survive, live, because they've got some terminal disease that affects a certain organ, and they can replace that organ with the organ, you can give them a new lease on life or improve the lives of people who, you know, are suffering because of a failing organ. And I actually read somewhere that, you know, if you're willing to be an organ donor, you could potentially help as many as 75 other people as they would take out what might be good for somebody else. So it's really an act of love, right? Loving your neighbor as yourself. I can't think of anything else that really comes to bear on the question. It's not a sin to love your neighbor as yourself. It's a commandment. And so a better question might be, is it a sin to not be an organ donor? You know, that I'm not trying to persuade anybody on either way here because it is a personal decision, but I'm just trying to say that, you know, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. If you were dying because of a failing organ, you only had so long to live, and you know, you knew that other people were dying who had organs that they could take out of their body once they're dead and put them into your body and help you live, wouldn't you want them to do that? So this is a case of the golden rule, treating others like you want to be treated. So my personal feeling is it's not a sin to be an organ donor. It's actually a virtuous thing. And when you think about it, it's not really that big of a sacrifice on your part. I mean, you're dead. You don't need those organs any longer. They're worthless to you, right? But very valuable to anyone who receives the benefit of your organs. So loving your neighbor as yourself, doing unto others as you'd have them do unto you. You know, these are the principles that come into play to answer this question. And unless there's some higher biblical principle than the principle to love your neighbor as yourself, then the question's answered. The only thing I can think of that would, you know, cause anyone hesitancy on a biblical level would be they're thinking about the resurrection, because sometimes we have questions of, is it okay to be cremated? And I think I answered that question one time. And because we're thinking, you know, the Bible does make it very plain that every body is one day going to be resurrected. Every body. Every body that belonged to a believer, every body that belonged to an unbeliever, through all the way to ancient history. Well, the question, I guess, is, you know, does God use the identical molecules of the original body to form the resurrected body? I don't know if anyone has the answer to that. I kind of think to myself, I don't see why God would only be able to use the original molecules, because when you think about it, you know, people that have died at sea, well, their molecules, if they were buried at sea or died at sea, their molecules from their foreign body could be spread across the whole world practically through ocean currents as little bits of carbon, and parts of their body are disseminated throughout the ocean currents and so forth. And I'm sure God's big enough, he's powerful enough, nothing's impossible. He could grab the original molecules of that body when it comes time to resurrect it. But I'm also thinking that it's possible that if some of those molecules went into the seaweed or into the kelp or into the fish and someone else ate the fish, there's some shared molecules going around here. There could be molecules in your body and my body that, belonged to somebody else 1,000 years ago. So I guess I'm kind of doubting the idea that God has to or will use the original molecules of everybody's body to create the resurrected body. That's my take on that. So I don't think you're going to mess up the resurrection at all by donating your organs. I just can't imagine on Resurrection Day, God up in heaven saying, that doggone David's servant told people to go ahead and be organ donors, and now we've got all these livers and lungs and hearts all over the place used by multiple bodies, and I don't know what I'm going to do when how am I going to get the resurrected bodies from all these different messed up parts? I just can't imagine God's going to say that. All right, and again, it's not that great sacrifice. Again, you're dead. Now, some people say, I'm a little bit afraid because I'm afraid that if I am in critical condition, they'll be less motivated to save me because they're going to harvest my organs and, somehow put some money in their pocket, as they sell them off. Well, I just think that the likelihood of that happening is extremely slim. You go to the emergency room, they're trying to save you, and whether you're an organ donor or not, And actually, I've been told that if you are an organ donor, they take special precaution to make sure that if they've declared you deceased, that you really are deceased and there's no chance, you coming back. So even extra precaution, because they, of course, naturally, people don't want to be taking organs out of people that would have lived, that might bother their conscience just a little bit, right? Right, okay. Even in that case, if you're a Christian, man, you just got a quicker ticket to heaven. That's not bad at all. Okay, so 20 people a day approximately die waiting for organ transplants who never get them. And if enough people became organ donors, we could change that statistic, all right? So I'm in favor, and I'm an organ donor, okay? And hope you are too. All right, thanks for asking that question. Hope to see you next time. God bless you.